Well, the first thing I think would be a check-in, I think, really. I think that's what we decided to do, right? Was it a check-in or was it the game?
Yeah, well, however you would like to set up the check-in.
Yeah. What we do on the meditation challenge is to describe something that your gaze is falling upon. But I think what we could do here is you could describe something that any of your senses are appreciating. Something you're touching, something you're seeing, and that will imply the rest of your world, if you would. So something your gaze is falling on, something you're touching, something you're hearing, something that one of your senses particularly appreciates for the moment. If we could do it as much as possible without linking words with ands and so forth. Hey, Mark. Hi, Mark. Anyway, who would like to, anybody want to start with that? Michael said is a good example too.
I'll do my best. My name is Michael. I am at Shantigar in the art studio. What I'm tuning into is the little bit of moisture on my body in this hot day. I feel just the beginnings of sweat on my torso and the current of the air on the bottom of my feet. Just the little bit of coolness against the hint of moisture. I'm not sweating, but I feel the moisture and the humidity today as opposed to the other days so far this year.
Thank you. Shirley, you're all lit up. Do you want to tell us anything about what you're seeing, hearing? So lovely to see you.
Are you talking to me?
I was talking to Shirley, but it's, Michael, why don't you ask people to speak because you.
Sure, happy to. Shirley, would you like to go?
Sure. I too have been gardening a little Dee and the sunlight is just pouring onto some white flowers right now that are just bringing a lot of light onto my balcony here. And I just love to I just look and experience and take in the light of the flower. It's
spectacular. Thank you, Shirley. That's beautiful.
Connie.
Hi, good evening here from West Harlem. Yeah, I think it's an atmospheric thing tonight. The quality of air is very striking with the twilight. It's very cool and soft, so my skin is just very happy with the air. It's a very soft, cool, somewhere between cool and warm, and smells lovely, fresh, and green. So happy with the air, the way it feels, the way it smells.
Thank you. Beverly.
Hi, I'm in my office in Wolfboro, New Hampshire. I'm looking out my window at the curtain of green, which has finally arisen at least a week later than usual. Very vibrant green with a beautiful curtain of sunset light behind it. In front of the line of green trees is a small cherry tree that I planted about 10 years ago now, which is covered with beautiful pink blossoms.
Thank you. Sally.
Today is a very special day. It's my husband's birthday as well. So I had a little birthday party for him at the table here, and his ashes are with us. I'm looking at the birthday cake with the candle that melted all into it as I sang some songs, and we're having a wonderful time together here tonight.
Oh, thank you, Sally.
Ellen.
Yes, I'm in a room with 27 windows.
Really? Wow.
No, it's amazing. But what I'm looking at is something my friend Fred made. He makes sculpture out of junk. And this is a repurposed piece of an armchair that's plunked right into the middle of a horizontal block, making a beautiful sailboat. And the lamplight is falling on the wood, and it gives my eyes a beautiful rest from all the screens I've been looking at.
Yeah.
Thank you. Michael.
Well, I moved so I could see out the window. Which is very, very green. It's mostly green, but there's a plum tree right outside the window that has dark red leaves. So we planted it when we moved here to shade this end of the house, which gets full afternoon sun, and it was too hot. We couldn't even sit in our dining room, have dinner in the dining room the first year. So we planted these trees, and they've now grown big, and it's lovely and shady.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. I wish you were up in the meditation cabin which you built, but since you're not, it's great to have you under a plum trees. Great.
Elaine. You.
Okay. I'm Elaine. I'm in the Hudson Valley of New York. And I'm holding a cup, and I just had a sip of our well water, which is very sweet, refreshing.
Lovely.
Thank you. June.
It's been wonderful listening. I feel myself calming down, and there's this rhythm. And at first it was the trees were the wind was in the trees, but now that's all quiet and the light has changed. And then there's a kind of a white light out on the other side of the leaves.
June, where are you? In Chicago?
No, I'm in Boston.
You're in Boston. Thank you.
Mark.
Hi, I'm in Manhattan, in my apartment in the Chelsea neighborhood. I went out for a walk earlier, and it started to rain, which I love because there's even less people on the street. But then I came back and I took a nap, and I just woke up about a half hour ago. And before I went out, had a lot of anxiety, and that seems to have lifted. And I'm feeling very calm, and I'm noticing how quiet the city is. I mean, you would feel that you were in the country. The city is so quiet. And I'm just enjoying that peacefulness.
Is it more or less quiet, Mark, than it was a few days ago?
Tonight it seems to be. Initially when this happened, the sirens would start at night around 7 o'clock, and they would go till often 4 in the morning every night. And then it got very bad the first 2 weeks, and then it kind of progressively got quieter. Tonight seems quieter than most.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Allison and Paul, if you'd like to.
it's good often so she can. Anyway, I'm with my gear, my Trinity of gear. I've got the new fountain pen that I told Jean-Claude I was getting after I watched his Refugees movie, and with it I have my
It was Dee Dee's
goggles.
refugee movie. Yeah.
Yes, I know that, but it's your spirit to me. And with it, I have my goggles, so it's safe to be out. These are these pass the U.S. military high velocity impact ballistic standard MIL PRF 32432, so that even bullets cannot get me, much less these pathogenic virus things. And with it, I have my assault gloves, which are made out of Kevlar and goat skin and guaranteed to repel needles or fire or thorns or anything. And I guess that calms me, knowing that with this wonderful gear, I feel invulnerable. And as a contrast, here's the love of my life.
Hi, I'm Allison, Paul's whatever. Anyhow, and I can confirm it's very alarming living with this terrorist ninja person. He doesn't always warn me about when he's going to put his gear on. So it's like at 4 in the morning, I'll wake up and all of a sudden there's this thing in the hallway, which is a little bit terrifying. But you know, this is sort of Paul's goal in life, is terrorizing me. So, but it's always very nice and happy. So, I guess I was listening to all of the comments and I was thinking, yes, I feel like I'm in a terrarium because all the green is surrounding me and the droplets of the shot. He's really enjoying all this. But the thing that struck me most was just looking at all of your faces and how sweet and smiling and peaceful everyone looks and happy. It's just a lovely kind of thing. So thank you so much for inviting us. And this will be our third one, I think. And it's just a wonderful a way to connect with everyone. And
Thank you, Allison. That's beautifully said. Thank you.
Dee Dee and Bill, you're covered right now. If you're able to check in.
Dee Dee.
I'm here. We're here.
Good. Hey, Bill.
And so people can see that we're there. This is me, and this is my beloved Bill. And we're in Long Beach, New York, in this wonderful 1920s tiled kitchen. I've just finished a very delicious salad. And what I really noticed, whoops, take out the and. What I really noticed.
Good. Oh, I'm so pleased.
Was the radish sliced thin and how nice and piquant it was. And I'm very proud because this may be the last radish I buy for the summer because I've been growing radishes.
Great.
I think my radishes will be ripe next week. So.
Wonderful.
We're starting to move off the grid.
Yeah, we're off the radish grid.
Start with radishes.
So
we're going to start with radishes and see where it takes us.
I not speaking of radishes, I am sitting next to Rand Engel. Michael Schreiber is in the other room. I want to say, because I know this group will appreciate it, how fortunate I feel that I'm with these two people, that we're here in this beautiful place. It seems that something went right. Whatever went wrong with my karma, something went right. Michael, Rand, do you want to speak?
As we started this observation, before Michael spoke, I was thinking about the moisture in my skin, the feeling of the warmth, and then I think probably before Shirley spoke, I was thinking about the vibrancy of the colors. And I kind of went through kind of lost my themes, and I'm left with the meditators. I'm sitting on my on my chair. I feel the impact of the chair against me. I feel the impact of the arms against the chair arms against my arms, the flesh. There's just the feeling of contact, which is the meditator's refuge.
Rand is a black belt in Aikido, can you tell?
No.
I need to see him move.
Yeah. Michael, have we gone through everybody?
Yeah, I think so. Is there anyone who hasn't? I think so. Everyone's in front of me, so I'd be
Well,
ready.
I haven't, I suppose.
Well, yeah, you haven't. And also, Bill, if you want to say anything as well, you're welcome to. But it's muted right now.
I'm thrilled to be with you. I really connect with Jean-Claude over quite a while now because of my relationship and my marriage with Dee Dee. And they're very close, and I feel very close. Today was a day when it got hot in the afternoon, and we were doing work outside, and I started sweating, and that felt wonderful. So now it's really cool. It's dark here. It's been raining. We cooked indoors, and we were just finishing dinner as this session began. So once again, I just say how pleased I am to be with you.
I'm so glad that you are, Bill. I flash on this moment when you and Dee Dee were getting married at the end of Long Island. And if you don't mind my repeating this one phrase that you said, Dee Dee waited a long time for her Prince Charming. Surely I would think it was worth the wait. Yeah. Again, I want to repeat how lucky I feel in the company that I'm in and in the beauty of the surroundings. In a moment that is so poignant when I feel that I could die any moment, that the world is in such terrible trouble, and yet there are these openings of poignant beauty which are amazing. Right now I'm looking at a red geranium. The geraniums are growing here in the big boxes in the greenhouse. They're doing extremely well. They seem very happy. They're bright. I put them all around the house. I put them in the meditation room, on the kitchen table, in the living room. They're bright flames of life, not the least of which, not the least reason is probably because my mother was surrounded by geraniums when she read out on her porch next to her bedroom. So thank you for being my geraniums, all of you guys. So are we moving on to the next thing, Michael?
Yeah, sure. Sally, did you want to say something?
I was just, Casey Childs sent me the photo, Jean-Claude, of you and your mother that you put on Facebook. That was so beautiful. I don't do Facebook, so it was a beautiful photo.
Mothers are really important. Shirley sent me a picture of her mother who would have been 100, was it 2 days ago, Shirley?
Yes, on Wednesday. Well, 3 days, yeah.
Yeah. When the goddess reappears, she's going to have a lot of tenderness of our mothers. Hopefully soon. Michael?
Sure. So we are going to do a little tea ceremony this evening, which I'll talk about in a minute after we do a little meditation. So just a short meditation as a way to continue grounding everyone that I'm happy to lead. So I'll invite everyone just to be comfortable.
Would you warn us how long the meditation might be?
Yeah, I think 3 to 5 minutes, I'll say. I'm not going to watch the clock, but not very long.
Well, somebody should watch the clock. I'll watch it.
You'll watch the clock? Okay.
I will indeed.
So So I want to invite everyone to just sit well. Sometimes we end up leaning into a hip. We're just getting lazy with our weight. So just taking a quick second to sit up well. Maybe with a little formality over your sit bones. Gently stack your vertebrae. Just take a deep breath in through your nose. Maybe on the next inhale, breathing a little deeper, perhaps into the side body, feeling the ribs expand out to the sides. Breathing through your nose. On your next inhale, you may send a little bit more into your back body, feeling your torso, your rib cage expand in every direction as you breathe in. Breathing through the nose. Let the next inhale be a little deeper, a little slower. At the top of your next inhale, maybe just a gentle retention of the breath. Not forced, not long, just a couple of extra seconds. And same thing on the next inhale, a little retention at the top. We allow for a little bit extra exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Bring fresh oxygen to our blood, breathing deeply and slowly. And release. And for the next about 2 minutes, following your breath in silence, breathing deep and slow through the nose.
Thank you, Michael, so much. Thank you. You want to
Yeah,
go on to the next?
sure. So you may have seen that we have a performance by Connie Childs this evening. I really enjoyed our little collaboration. Simply inspired by what it's like to be in a workshop here at Shantigar, particularly with Jean-Claude. It's an evolution of the work we've done in workshops in many ways. Instead of the spaciousness of a field or the octagon, we have Connie in her apartment now, with props, also with the event of a tea ceremony. So it's an experiment and an expansion of form that we hope you enjoy. Connie, give me 1 second. I'm going to spotlight your video, and this should make her full screen for everybody. And Connie, if you would begin, please.
Welcome. All right. Do a small adjustment. Ooh. Ooh.
Thank you, Connie. How beautiful. How really wonderful. Really, so beautiful. Thank you, Michael, for the direction. Connie, that was just great.
Thanks. Looked delicious too.
Yeah, we talked about the possibility for this tea ceremony that we might all have something to drink. But this was so beautiful, so simple, so direct. The whole meaning of what theater is needing to be redefined, because who knows when we're going to be able to do live theater again, the way we used to do it. But that was very alive. It was also meditative, tremendously meditative. I remember going to lectures that Trungpa Rinpoche gave in Boulder. I remember two things about them. I don't really remember what he said, anything he said. But I do remember he kept everyone waiting, sometimes for 2 hours. I don't know that that was meaningful, but there was a moment. He seemed to do it at least once in every talk, where he would reach so slowly for his glass of water. I'll spare you the rest of it, but that same kind of concentration, Connie, that same kind of attention, that same kind of attention to what the senses are telling you, he was able to do. It conveyed so much, so much. So I personally have been waiting for a very long time to figure out where the marriage of meditation and performance is appropriate for Shantigar. It's here. It's one of the opportunities that this in-plague time gives us. It was so intimate what you showed us, Connie. It was spacious. It was a meditation on your part. I have in my playwriting book an exercise called an I love it. In a sense, although this didn't have words, it's you performing what you love in such an intimate, slow way, with very little ego coming in there. It's beautiful. I'd like to talk more about that, but first I'd like to give everybody else an opportunity, or not first, but anyone else is welcome to say something to Connie or about this. It's an important point, I think. Michael, I see your pic. Michael Smith, I see you're up there. Do you want to say something about theater, about Connie, about tea, about the moon?
Just mute it.
Oh, so now we.
I was very pleased. I'm so happy to be here. It's so enlivening and calming at the same time. I was really feeling kind of blurry and stressed out and struggling with my computer, struggling to see little things on my computer. And I almost didn't come. And then I thought, just go. And then I felt so much better right away. So happy to see you and see you all. And thank you, Connie. That was lovely.
Yes, Connie transported us in some way by her focus. Yes. Do you want to say anything, Connie, about it? Or would some, I think maybe
Sure.
Can I say something?
Oh, yeah.
Ellen, go ahead.
Ellen?
She's unmuting herself, or I'll help do that.
Unmute. There we go.
Is that like Salome doing a striptease?
Are you talking to me?
I wondered, you were unmuting yourself, I was told.
You know, I'm taking singing lessons.
I didn't know.
Which is the joy of my life right now. And Connie, when you took one sip and then a second sip and a third sip, you know, a good ritual number 3, you were also, it seemed to me, intoning. Each ah was a different pitch. And so that was, I entered the peacefulness through the music in your sigh, in your exhale of pleasure.
I entered the peacefulness in the music of your sigh, the exhale of your pleasure. Thank you, Ellen.
That is beautiful.
But it certainly came from the heart.
Yeah. Thanks.
There's something about being present, totally present. Yeah.
Well, this was such an interesting process with Michael to orchestrate, because it's based completely on Jean-Claude's meditation games and Jean-Claude's book. It's obviously, all of us have been to the workshops where we do the vertical gesture and the horizontal gesture in order to begin to tell a story. So for me, one of the things that I learned was, the choice not to speak at all for me was very liberating, because my body can speak, but my actual my ability to form words nicely with a nice vocal quality, that's not in such a good place. So Michael and I had really great conversations about, you know, what are we doing here? How do we bring the workshop into this weird COVID world, and make it feel like we all have the privacy of the workshop, and yet there is this element of performance, since I'm the only one doing this tea ceremony this time. But
we were all there with you.
Right. But I just thought it was, and there was definitely a little bit of, I wasn't as private in myself as I would be at a Shantigar workshop, where I said to Michael, you know, in a workshop, I get to be completely gloriously selfish. And this is a little different, but it's such a wonderful continuation of that experience. So, yeah, it's a really cool experiment. And I look forward to Michael coming up with more different ways to tweak a tea ceremony and combine it with the work we do in Shantigar, because it's experiential, but we're all sharing a nice new moon and get to share stuff. So
a tea ceremony, excuse me, Connie, did I interrupting you?
No, I'm good.
A tea ceremony can be a literal tea ceremony like the one you just performed for us. Right. Traditionally, the tea ceremonies in Japan, it all had to do with the quality of attention. It was partly sweeping the path with great attention, getting it perfect, and then when it was too perfect, spreading some dry leaves on it so it wouldn't look too perfect. Painting the hanging that would go behind the takamono, go behind the table with the tea. So the way that one does that, the calligraphy or the painting, is also extraordinarily mindful. The building of the tea house, the carpentry that goes with the tea house, the whisking of the matcha tea, all of it is what it is. It's whisking the matcha tea is whisking the matcha tea. So there's a way in which being present in each moment of some activity which you passionately are involved with communicates in such a deep way that the reaction that we heard from Michael Smith that was extraordinary, and from Ellen. Yes, but that was because of the degree of attention that I think, because of the degree of attention, I'm hoping that this becomes a comforting, deep practice that we can manage to do on some of these calls.
Yeah.
Does anyone wish to say, I'm sorry, Connie, yeah?
No, I just wanted to say thank you, especially to Michael and Ellen. To do this and then hear their response calms my own, like, ego worries about, oh, is the performance, you know what I mean? It puts all that stuff, it's like, oh, phew, that's garbage, because everybody, we're all having fun here. So that's good.
Does someone wish to say something else? Make an associate?
I do.
Please.
Okay, I'll go after you.
Michael, are you telling people who's unmuting? Is Ellen going to speak with us?
I think Elaine was about to speak.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. I would love to speak. Connie, there were so many moments that I really felt in my own body as you were doing them. But something that touched me so deeply was the way you came to the screen to adjust it. I felt like you were coming to the door and welcoming me in. That really moved me. Thank you.
Hi, this is Allison. I was struck by so many things. First of all, Connie, thank you for doing it. One of the things that came to me was how intimate silence is. That when we're with each other, it's so often we have words, or we move around, or we're showing, or whatever, but being silent is so intimate, and it's hard to do, and I was so impressed, Connie, by.
Thank you, Allison. That's beautifully said.
Thank you.
Anyone else that wants to say who wants to say something?
I do. This is Mark. Hi, Connie. I just wanted to say that when you were smelling the tea, I initially could feel the steam on my own face, like I was really there with you, but then you filled up with joy with having that cup of tea, and I filled up with joy at that moment too, and that was quite surprising. So I thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. We lost Zoom for a moment, but I know that, you guys are all theater people and stuff, and so you probably missed the interaction, the audience, and sharing the energy and all that. But I'm consistently just amazed by the kind of energy that comes through on these things. And the first time I ever felt it was when Paul and I did the first tea ceremony with you, Jean-Claude and Rand, and how much energy came just from the two of you sitting there. And it was just phenomenal, I guess it's not the same as sharing air and space, but it's really powerful and wonderful. So thank you for letting us in.
Thank you for being here, Allison. It's our shared space. Thank you also for noticing the qualities of, dare I say it, Zoom. We can't just accept Zoom. We have to figure out, we're stuck with it, or similar media. What are its qualities? How can we deepen ourselves, extend ourselves to others using some of those qualities? I think, for instance, the fact that we saw Connie's environment, that we could see her apartment, that we could see her preparation, I think that matters very much. I'm interested to see if I can sometimes figure out what books people have on their shelves. It's like looking inside someone's mind. That's enriching. There are many things to develop about this, but it's marvelous that performance, in the sense of going deeply into oneself, listening to the goddess, expressing her, and meditation meet and communicate and make me want to cry when I watch something as beautiful as what Connie did. Does anyone want to say anything much more this evening? Be happy to hear it, but we don't have to go on. Anyone? Well then, thank you all so very much.
Yeah, before we let people go, I just wanted to talk about what's coming up really quickly.
Not so quickly, take your time.
Okay, great. So we have, you may have seen in the newsletter, Marissa is doing another meditation retreat, June 5th to 7th. I think some of you were at her resting retreat.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, I see Michael, yeah, Beverly, Connie. So the theme for this one is connecting. I thought that was timely, as you know, what Marissa said was that the world is starting to open back up in ways that's uncertain for all of us. Surely the way you mentioned some people wearing masks, some not. I think as we navigate this space, Marissa's thinking of how can we connect most intentionally, consciously, in a way that feels good to us. First from within, before we end up maybe trying to venture back out as we do, and people around us do. So that's the same basic time format, 3 hours a day for 3 days. Then on what I just learned tonight is also the next new moon. On June 21st is the summer solstice. So we'll be beginning a 21-day meditation challenge in the summer for the first time. Usually our hope is that people come to the summer workshops and we do the other 3 seasons. This time we'll do a summer meditation challenge as well. So that will be our next event on the new moon. We'll have 3 one-hour calls. Many of you have been on them before. Over the course of 21 days. And it's a daily email just with the encouragement of establishing for those 21 days a basic sitting practice. And you have support from Jean-Claude, myself, Marissa, and Josh Adler, who many of you know. We have other things in the pipeline coming up soon, and we'll talk about those in the future. We're working with other movement teachers and courses to bring things forward. So we'll be in touch. And it's a pleasure to be with everyone. So yeah, thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank everybody. Thank you so much. Connie, that was beautiful. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Connie. Congrats. It was really fun.
Thank you. It was so wonderful.
Bye-bye, bye-bye, spokesperson for the moon goddess.
Did you like that, Beverly?
I laughed.
I think it's great. She could do a lot worse, Diana, than have you as a spokesperson. That's great.
Bye, Jean-Claude.
Bye-bye, Ellen.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye, Elaine.
Bye, Connie. Bye, Michael.
Bye, Shirley.
Cheers.
Bye, Ellen.
Bye.
All right, see you tomorrow, Beverly.
Thank you. Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye-bye, Allison. Bye-bye, Paul.
Bye.
Sally, have a good time there with your friend, with your husband. Bye.